The Patrick Riggins Show. Call in now, 865-243-TALK. That's 243-8255. And now your host, Patrick Riggins.
Beach music. Welcome to the Patrick Riggins Show. Wouldn't it be nice to be sitting on a nice sunny beach in the Caribbean, or Caribbean, however you might pronounce it? The relaxation is all the same. Almost the ultimate in libertarian living. No one bothering me, and I am not bothering anyone. Bringing you this relaxing daydream is the soothing station of the Southeast, WNOX FM 100.3. Lie back while we gently massage your eardrums via 100,000 watts of power covering parts of 5 states and 2 time zones. If you'd like to get a glimpse of people taking life a little less seriously, you can pull up your web browser and type in www.wnoxfm.com. There you can listen and view this radio show over the in-studio webcam. You'll see me. You'll see the producer, Tori. But what you won't see is anyone sitting here abusing a boxed alcoholic beverage. That's right. No plastic tubing, no latex or nitrile gloves, and no type of personal lubricants. Isn't that right, Tori? No Franzia in the studio.
You just messed up what my plan was going to be later on when I got off work.
Yeah.
Only the finest of wines for me, though. Americano.
Yes, no, that's why you can say no finer wine has ever passed your lips. Because it has not.
Yeah, I always love when locals, it brings pride to us and makes us look good, and especially in the national spotlight.
Nothing better.
Morons. Morons.
You know, why let Penn State have all the publicity? You know, we needed to do something to pull the publicity back to us. So I think we did it. We did it.
When the 70s, UT was known as the streaking capital of the United States. Now we're the butt chug.
Yeah. Capital. Yeah.
Yay, us.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing like getting that crown. We've won it back. I think ETSU used to be the party school. I think we've pretty much secured our place in that now.
If that's party school, I don't care nothing about partying anymore.
Yeah, I'll do my partying the old-fashioned way.
Put the straw on the other end.
Yeah, exactly. Oh. Yes, this afternoon we're going to do a little bit different here, and we're going to take some of your calls. This is what we're going to be taking your calls about. Yeah, and I'm sure most people have already heard that, but what I want to do is play a little bit of that. We'll get into some stuff here before then, but we're going to take your calls on that today. That was the infamous video, and we'll have more of that of the Obama phone. But I want to thank you again before we get started for tuning in again.
Ring, ring, Obama phone.
Well, my phone, yeah. Get that Obama phone. I am Patrick Riggins, and you're listening to what is becoming rapidly the most widely listened to, most popular radio show in our coverage area. The reason is, and it might sound trite, but we fight for the American way. Personal independence, personal responsibility, and severely limited government. Yes, I said severely limited. You might not know it or not, but you don't need government holding your hand every step of your life. Did you like riding around with training wheels on? Weren't you ready to take them off and get riding on your own? Heck, you might have even been like me and had an old bike without training wheels. You learned to be tough and take the bumps and bruises on the way to learning to ride. Come to think of it, that's probably better for you anyway.
No helmet.
No helmet. That's what I was getting, yeah. All this on-the-bike training was done without a helmet. In fact, all the ramps we used to ride off of, no helmet. No, I know, Tori and I talked about this before. You didn't have a helmet either, did.
Now, we had ramps, but we laid at the end of the ramps and jumped each other.
Yeah, exactly. We've done that. and all without, not getting hurt. Now, I'm not advocating you shouldn't ride without a helmet. It's blatantly safer to do so. We just don't need the government mandating it. Obviously, my parents, and I'm sure your parents too, Tori, knew I was smart enough to not do anything stupid.
I had no clue as far as not to get.
And if you weren't, your parents, they accepted the consequences for their actions of not making you wear a helmet. Mine too. So one of the things I try to do on this show is make you think about the actions you take and why you take them, why you think the way you do. Do you use reason and logic to back up these things? For instance, and I want you to think about this a little bit this week, do you consider yourself a mean person? Now, most people don't, but do you do mean things? Now, I've seen this so many times on the interstate, it can't be attributed to attention. Do you cut people off in traffic? and I know you do, but if you do, I want you to think about what it does for you. And I'm being serious. This is a good intellectual exercise because it is something a lot of people do. So why do you do it? Does it make you feel better than them? And if so, is feeling inferior to others a common feeling in your life? And no, this isn't a pop psychology show. I just want you to get used to honestly evaluating what you are doing in your life. So again, if you're cutting someone off in traffic, does it make you feel better about yourself? Does it make you feel powerful? If you feel this way, then that should be telling you there is a problem you need to address. Now, I'm not saying you need a psychiatrist. You can take care of that yourself. You just have to realize what you're doing and why you're doing it. Having accomplished that, you can correct this thinking and concentrate on things that are productive and healthy. What I see a lot of today are people who feel powerless. They feel like they aren't running their lives. They feel like they're just a cog in the wheel of life. Feeling this way tends to create a need to control others, and this is what we're becoming in this country. A lot of people don't like their lives, so they seek to control others. I personally believe this is from a generation of parents who weren't really parents at all. They spent all their time trying to be friends with their children. They want to hang out with them, be their buddies. They want to be one of the gang. And I'm not a parent, and even I know that's the wrong way to do it. You raise kids with you as the control figure, the parent, the one in charge. You can be their friend when they're older, when they're 25. So anyway, again, this show, we're going to be taking your calls on this particular clip. If you haven't heard it, this is it. So I want to get your thoughts on that if you think that's something the government should be doing. We're up on our first break here. We have a lot to get to. And if you want to give us a call, the number is 865-243-TALK, 865-243-8255. Also, if you're a U.S. Cellular customer or a cell customer, just hit pound 100. If you're U.S. Cellular, it's a free call. But I think it's a free call for everyone nowadays.
Plus, it's Sunday, so...
Plus, it's Sunday, yeah, free calls anyway. So, and everybody's got a plan that's got 5,000 minutes. This is Patrick Riggins on The Patrick Riggins Show. We'll be back after these messages.
Fighting for freedom, liberty, and the restoration of the Constitution. The Patrick Riggins Show. Call in now at 865-243-8255. That's 243-TALK. And now your host, Patrick Riggins.
This is Patrick Riggins with the Patrick Riggins Show. And if you want to give us a call, you can give us a call at 865-243-TALK. Hey, if you have an Obama phone. Yeah, you can call us on your Obama phone. So, anyway, we'll be taking calls on that this hour.
I've got U.S. Cellular.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think the Obama phone,
the Obama plan?
Yeah, what it is it you run up minutes and you don't have to pay for them. So we just keep kicking that can down the road. That's how that Obama phone works. We run a deficit and we just decide, well, it'll just go away. It'll take care of itself.
Or you can blame the phone bill on Bush.
Yeah, you can blame, or the fact the phone doesn't work on
all
Bush.
Your overage charges are blamed on Bush.
Yeah, those overage charges were on there before I got this phone. Oh, yeah. Real quick, this segment, I want to talk a little bit about the upcoming presidential debates, or what we could call it, presidential theater productions, otherwise known as the presidential debates. And they're brought to you by the mainstream media and something called the Commission on Presidential Debates. Now, the mainstream media, I'm sure everyone has heard of, but do you know what the Commission on Presidential Debates might be? To put it simply, it is a non-profit corporation controlled by the establishment of both the Democrat and Republican parties, and it was formed in order to present you with your two choices from which you can pick to cast your vote for president. To put this into perspective, let's say I own a company that makes baseballs. That's a good old American thing to do. Now, I have two brands I sell. One brand is the Republican baseball, and one is the Democrat baseball. And I'll give you a choice of either one, but only either one. So no matter which one you pick, I still win, because ultimately I own both brands. That's what you have with these debates. You can pick the Republican or you can pick the Democrat. But is there really any difference between the two of them? Well, once you get down into Congress, you start seeing some differences. But for president, not so much. Now, the Commission on Presidential Debates was formed in 1987. And at the original press conference, Frank Fahrenkopf, who heads the commission, stated they were not likely to include third-party candidates in the debates. Paul Kirk, who was then the DNC chairman, that's the Democrat National Committee chairman, national chairman, said he personally believed third parties should be excluded from them. A few weeks ago, Libertarian presidential candidate Gary Johnson filed an antitrust lawsuit against the commission, which is still working its way through the system, but it highlights the problem with the current situation. The two major parties don't want any competition. So how do you fight this? Easy. Don't watch the debates. Pay absolutely no attention to them at all. Don't even tune them in on your television so the ratings people can't count you as watching, even if you aren't. The polls and the media are skewed anyway towards getting a Democrat elected. This just reinforces the need that you need to ignore these things. Vote for the best person. Stop trying to vote only for the person who is going to win. If that's what is important to you, just vote for the best person and then lie about it. Most people who are concerned about being on the winning side are lying about most of their accomplishments in life anyway. So what is one more lie about who you're going to vote for hurt? You'll actually be doing some good by voting for the best candidate without having to suffer from your friends bugging you about not voting as they wanted you to. Now, some people say, I just don't participate in government. You should be able to be left alone. Now, that's how it should be, but that's not how it is. You are always going to get people in government who want to be busybodies, monitor everything you're doing, and constantly be sticking their nose into your business. Now, the founders knew this. That is why they said you have to always be on the lookout for these types wanting to get into government. Now, we've been neglecting our duties as voters for a long time now. We need to work on getting back involved in what government is doing. You see what is going to happen when you do. You get called every name in the book because these guys are used to running the show without you. They don't want you involved. They don't want you paying attention. They want you to sit out there fat and dumb, voting for one of the two accepted candidates, because either one is going to do what the people in power want them to do. You have people who say maybe it's better to have Obama in office and a Republican-controlled Congress, both House and Senate, because then the Republicans would be in an adversarial role and less inclined to pass the things he wants. Now, my only problem with that is that Congress doesn't always do the right thing anyway. they passed the Patriot Act with the Senate voting practically unanimously at 98-1 originally when it passed, and the House 357-66. One of the biggest trashings of the Constitution we have had. And that was with a Republican in the White House, someone who should supposedly be more conservative towards that great document. So what's the answer? I think Romney could be worked with a little easier, but I'm not so sure his designs are any better. Of course, now the key is Congress, and I say this over and over. Congress, Congress, Congress. That is where our power and influence lie, not the president. Congress can stop everything President Obama has been doing. You don't like the tax rate? Thank Congress. Don't like immigration policy? Thank Congress. Don't like the spending happening right now in Washington? Thank Congress. I played these quotes a few weeks ago from retired Judge Andrew Napolitano a little while back, but since this show is growing so rapidly and we're getting new people listening all the time, I'm going to play them again so the new people can hear them. This was his first quote here I played.
What I think is demonstrable. Mitt Romney's views are closer to Barack Obama's than they are to Ron Paul's or Thomas Jefferson's. I think that's demonstrable. I don't think there's any spin in that, and I think that could easily be demonstrated. So those of us who really yearn for a return to first principles, the natural law, the Constitution, a government that only has powers that we have expressly consented that it may have, are frustrated with the choice between Barack Obama and Mitt Romney. And it's a difficult choice to make. Does one vote for Gary Johnson as a way of demonstrating there's a huge base of libertarians out there, and even though you're going to be president, Governor Romney, we're going to be watching you? Or does one vote for Mitt Romney because he's the lesser of two evils and is not likely to give us Supreme Court appointments of the nature that Barack Obama has? I myself have not yet resolved this.
This is one of the questions a lot of us are asking ourselves today. In this interview, he was asked about which candidate he would rather have choosing a Supreme Court nominee, since that came up in his last answer.
The short answer to your question is, yes, I'd rather have Mitt Romney choose a Supreme Court nominee than Barack Obama.
So is it a toss-up between Romney and Obama?
Most of my colleagues believe, and I share this view, that Barack Obama is arguably president most dangerous to human freedom since Abraham Lincoln.
So should a libertarian and someone I would argue that leans towards more American values, how they used to be and how they should be, should they hold their nose and vote for Romney anyway?
There's a great groundswell amongst libertarians to toss some support to Mitt Romney so that we never have to live in fear of what Barack Obama might do by executive order or decree.
This is where I part ways a little from the judge, because, as I say, Congress has the power to overturn these types of things, either through outright writing legislation to stop it or refusing to fund them. But I also live in the real world and realize at this point, Congress does not have the backbone to stop anything the president is doing, whether constitutional or not. That is mostly our fault for continuing to elect these people who have neither the will nor the inclination to step forward and say the things that need to be said, and more importantly, do the things that need to be done. So what is the answer? I can't sit here and tell you what the best answer is for you. If you're waiting for me to tell you how to vote, I would be the first person to tell you that is not the way to choose. You are abdicating your responsibility as a citizen. You should not be taking marching orders from anyone. If you ask me how I'm going to vote, honestly, I've not decided yet, because we really don't have a whole lot of choice. Do you make a protest vote and write someone in at the risk of putting Obama back into office, or do you vote for Romney even though he doesn't agree with a lot of what this show talks about? Do you vote for Obama in the hopes that Congress might be more inclined to oppose what he's wanting to do? This is the problem we are running into. Picking from only two people who have a realistic shot at becoming president in response to the debates and all the secret negotiations that go on behind the scenes between the two parties, 18 organizations have issued a press release demanding the Commission on Presidential Debates make public the contract. If you didn't know that, they draw up a contract between the Democrats and Republicans and what they've arrived at to determine how these debates will be done. Now, good luck with that, because the powers to be have clamped down on all these nitpicking outsiders in an effort to control what you see and hear. Just look at what happened at the Republican National Convention as they worked to shut out the Ron Paul supporters. They were using tactics that would have made Stalin proud. If you missed any of that, just go to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Patrick Riggins Show and listen to that September 2nd show, and you'll hear what all this controversy is about. We're up on the bottom of the hour break, and coming back, we'll take some calls if you have them on this. Got that Obama phone, and your calls on anything else you may have. 865-243-TALK, 865-243-8255. This is the Patrick Riggins Show. We will return after this bottom of the hour break.
Fighting for freedom, liberty, and the restoration of the Constitution. The Patrick Riggins Show. Call in now at 865-243-8255. That's 243-TALK. And now your host, Patrick Riggins.
Welcome back to the Patrick Riggins Show. Tori's got his Obama phone.
No, mine is a LG, and that's U.S. Cellular.
U.S. Cellular, who just happens to also be a friend of the station. So, and that worked out well.
Total coincidence.
Total coincidence. Nothing more.
No, I do really like U.S. Cellular. That has nothing to do with the station.
They are good. I've had them since before I was here. So they're good. Yeah, I've not had any problems out of them. They could give me like something free for plugging them, I guess.
Some free minutes.
Yeah, I don't need free minutes. I want like a free phone. Like a really nice phone, like one that will take me 6 months to figure out.
And then the new one will be ready.
And then the new one will be,
get the new one.
And then it'll take, you just never get comfortable with the phone because it's always the new one coming out. So I think Apple pursues that same philosophy there. Seems to work out. Everyone's lined up to get them.
No, I get the phone like selling, the big crank-up phone like on MASH.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Have radar running it. All right. This segment, we've been kind of hinting around on this segment a little in regards to that. So, by now, I'm sure everyone has seen the video of the woman triumphantly announcing she has an Obama phone on the internet. If you haven't, just Google it, and I'm sure you'll find it rather easily. Now, a story ran in the Dayton, Ohio Daily News a little while back detailing the costs of this program in that state. And I want to read a little bit to you from this before we get to our calls here. The reporter is Josh Swigart, and he writes, a program that provides subsidized phone service to low-income individuals has nearly doubled in size in Ohio in the past year, now covering more than 1 million people. The size of the program in the state and profits to the increasing number of cell phone companies involved has exploded in recent months. The program, now this is just in Ohio, cost $26.9 million in the first quarter of 2012, the most recent data available. That's versus $15 million last year in the same time frame. Compared to the first quarter of 2011, the number of people in the program nearly doubled to more than 1 million. The total cost of the program nationwide was $1.5 billion in 2011, and that was up from $1.1 in 2010. Growth in the program is fed by the 2008 decision to extend it to prepaid cell phone companies, which get up to $10 every month that someone is subscribed. The number of cell phone companies offering the service in Ohio grew from 4 in 2011 to 9 currently, and 7 more awaiting approval from the Public Utilities Commission of Ohio. Gee, so you get more of the behavior you reward. You've never heard that on this radio show before, have you?
In a swing state, too.
Yeah, in a swing state. Now, Lisa Asbill.
Ring, 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 ring. Obama phone. I've got this.
That's our talented show producer. All right, Elisa Asbill of Dayton, there in Ohio, she said, I'm unable to have a cell phone and I need one for emergencies. She said the 250 free minutes she gets per month through SafeLink isn't enough to use it for much more than emergencies, though. So she's got over 250 minutes, which is over 4 hours each month. Now, how many emergencies is this person having every month? Now, Asbill heard about the phone program about 6 months ago from a friend and has since told more people about it. Community Action Partnership Outreach Coordinator Deborah Ferguson said her anti-poverty agency tells people about the program because it helps them reach people when services or jobs become available. So we are actively trying to sign up as many people for this as we can. How about this? How about having the people stop by the agency every day to check to see if someone wants to hire them? It's because they really don't want a job. They're just going through the motions so they can continue to qualify for whatever government aid they're getting. If you said that every time these people, instead of giving them a phone and a number to call, every time they stop by the office to check to see if there's jobs available, if they'd hand them a lottery ticket every time they did that, you'd have a line out the door every day. The question is, and it really isn't a question, should our government be providing phone service for people? And the answer is flat out no. This is just another program that takes money directly out of my pocket and uses it to buy votes from someone else. Again, Congress, they could stop this immediately if they wanted to.
You mean the government's not paying for it themselves?
No. Well, we're paying. Government doesn't have money. They don't make money, They just take ours.
They don't make nothing or sell nothing or produce anything or.
Actually, they take freedom, they take liberty, and we pay them for the privilege of them doing that. So that's the nice thing about our government. Here's that full video quote if you've not heard it.
Obama.
You got Obama phone?
Yes, everybody in Cleveland, no minority got Obama phone. Keep Obama in president, He gave us a phone.
He gave you a phone?
Do more.
How did he give you a phone?
You sign up if you're on food stamps, you on Social Security, you got low income, you disability.
There you go. Get that Obama phone. We'll go to David here in Knoxville. David, you're on the Patrick Riggins Show. How you doing?
Doing just fine this morning.
Are you using your Obama phone?
Rather.
Say what?
I said this afternoon I'm doing just fine.
Oh, okay. Great.
The thing I wanted to bring to the table, and I respect what you said, make sure you understand where my politics are. The only thing I despise, the test, abhor, and hate worse than a Republican is a damn Democrat. So
you'll fit in well on this show.
Okay. But, you were talking about the lesser of two evils, and I made after George Bush, I made a decision in my personal life that if you voted for the lesser of two evils, you're still voting for evil.
There you go.
And you're going to have to stand before your maker one of these days, and if you're like me, I've got a lot of things to answer for, and I don't want that to be one of them.
You don't need one more.
I don't need one more, I promise you.
That's
another thing you said, you were talking about how the Obama administration blames the Bush administration.
Sure.
And to a certain extent, that is very true because not all of them, but a lot of these programs, a lot of these things that have been put in place are things that the Bush administration started and the Obama administration finished and added upon.
Yeah, they just continue. Yeah. It's like Guantanamo Bay. He said he was going to close that, and he didn't.
Well, let me explain to you. The same people pulling the strings every time George Bush opened his mouth are the same ones pulling the strings when Obama opens his. and we'll be the same ones pulling the strings when Mr. Romney opens his mouth if he is to be elected.
Sure.
Until we do three things, and that is utterly destroy the Republican and the Democrat Party, as well as the Federal Reserve, this nation is in for hell on earth. There's a program out called Hell on Wheels. Well, this is going to be hell on earth.
Yeah.
With what they are doing to us as a nation right now, what they have done to us over the last 150 years particularly. And until the American people wise up and get smart enough to figure out and stop listening to the TV and what they read in the Knoxville News Pravda and things like this, until they figure out that 99.9% of what they hear from these folks is going to be an outright lie or a little truth mixed in with a lie to make it sound good, then what are we going to do, my friend?
That's the question. And unfortunately, thanks for the call there, David. I appreciate it. I'm going to let you go here. We're right up on the break. Yeah, unfortunately, that's the question. What do we do? And it sounds depressing, but unfortunately, I think we're going to get to a default before we get to anything that's going to fix what's going on. Anyway, we're up on the last break here, and we'll get to a couple more calls when we come back from the break. We'll be talking about that Obama phone here, too, here again. We'll take your calls on that here in this last break, 865-243-TALK, 865-243-8255. This is Patrick Riggins at The Patrick Riggins Show. We'll be right back.
Interactive modular, ring, 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 ring.
Obama phone!
Fighting for freedom, liberty, and the restoration of the Constitution. The Patrick Riggins Show. Call in now at 865-243-8255. That's 243-TALK. And now your host, Patrick Riggins.
Welcome back to the Patrick Riggins Show.
Buddy in Cleveland, no minority, get Obama phone!
Got that Obama phone.
Obama Cellular.
Obama Cellular, yes. Don't like it? Blame the previous cell phone provider you had. All right.
I wonder if texting comes on that, too, if a texting package comes on. I'm serious. I wonder if a texting package does come on that.
I don't know. That would be...
That's a good question.
I would almost bet so.
Do they get smartphones?
Because someone would be...
do they get the crank-up phones like they used to have on MASH?
Yeah.
Or the Big Lebowski, the one that's got the big shoulder strap that you got to wear like a purse.
Or that big... the one, I had back in the 80s.
That's probably iPhones.
Yeah, the huge... Yeah, that's probably what it is.
iPhones.
Give everybody an iPhone.
They got better phones than I do.
So, all right. We're going to go to Blue here. And during the last hour, Blue, how's it going? You're on the Patrick Riggins Show.
Hey, Patrick. I'm very upset.
Uh-oh.
In the fact that my government has not given me classes on how to speak and listen and even write or text Ebonics or Ebonics.
Oh, yeah. But are you having a problem with the clip? You having a problem with that clip?
Yeah, because
what?
if you look at high schoolers, they're forced to take a foreign language.
Uh-huh.
But shouldn't they have to be able to understand those that are in our own society before they can understand a foreign language?
Well, sure. Well, I guess in that, if you want to pursue that line of reasoning, we should all be taught Spanish too. Especially,
you got it, but that is considered a foreign language.
Yeah, well, that is true. This will be more of a dialect, I guess.
For now.
For now, yeah. Well, I guess you can consider Spanish a dialect almost. It's a dialect of the southern United States.
Well, no, apparently this was discovered back in the 1970s. I grew up in the 80s and was a high schooler in the 80s, and, they talked about it in my U.S. history class, as this was an actual language.
Yes.
But it was not incorporated.
Yeah. Well, the problem is, of course, which I'm sure they'll agree, is you were in a government school to begin with.
I know.
No, there's your. You need to. Our government doesn't need to be educating our kids. We've got people who will do that. So when you have a government educating the population, it's liable to be swayed by the political winds that seem to be moving at the moment. So,
but there are movements within the public schools where the children are beginning to wake up and they're sounding their voices. I mean, in particular, my daughter, she's got a whole rest of the year to finish a report on the Battle of Athens.
Well,
and so we're actually going to McMinn County, and we're going to be interviewing people, as well as we have actual audio clips of what's going on, what happened at that time frame. And she's doing a whole documentary on it.
Well, that's good.
So
that's good. And that's, I think, a lot of the young people, especially when Ron Paul started making waves, I think a lot of young people are seeing it maybe as a way to rebel a little bit against the system. And I don't care how the reasoning is, as long as they're with us. But
well, I will tell you a very good story on her. She saw this back in 2008, where she fell in love with Sarah Palin. And she was in the 4th grade. And so she would wear her little Sarah Palin pins on her shirt. And her teacher, of a different color, told her she could not wear them to school. But it was okay for the teacher to have bumper stickers and posters for Barack Obama.
Sure.
And my 4th grader at that time said, no, I can wear my Sarah Palin pins to school.
That's good. And surprisingly, the ACLU has stepped up on some of those, where they've battled against people trying to shut down that type of speech, and that surprises me a little bit. But for now, far and away, they're way liberal, but they have spoken up on some of that stuff and defended some of these people who have wanted to wear a shirt that's a little bit more conservative, as you would say.
One of the more interesting things with Knox County schools, and I preach this story every time that I get a chance to, I tend to be on the homeopathic side of medicine. So I tend to look for natural remedies before I go to a medicine. And so we went to the school, to the nurse, and I said, here's honey and lemon.
Yeah.
2 separate containers. All she has to do is mix it together at lunch to calm a cough.
Sure.
No. She could not consume it.
Well, you should have put it in a condom. They'd have given it to her without telling you then.
Why? Well, see, until you know that, you didn't. But no, I had to have a doctor's note.
Yeah. That's the key.
My next response was, so if I put it in her lunchbox and individual packages,
yeah, and
she consumes it on her own without your knowledge, is that acceptable? Oh, no, we're going to search her lunch now.
Sure. Like I said, let me get off here real quick, Blue. I appreciate the thing. I've got a couple more calls. Appreciate your call, though. But, like I said, hide it in a condom. They won't mess with it. In fact, they'll make an example of her and be glad she did it. Do we have enough time to get to a couple more? Yeah, okay. We'll jump to another call here. Sandy, real quick here. Go ahead. You're on the Patrick Riggin Show. Hello.
Did you say Sandy?
I said Sandy.
Oh,
wait a minute. I said it with an I, not a Y, so it's not you.
That's okay. No. I wasn't for sure because of the phone cut off right when you said the name. I didn't want to be talking with nobody.
Oh, sure. Just blabber. I do it all the time.
Well, I do too, tell you the truth, man. I was calling because of the cell phone situation.
Sure.
Last month, I got an increase on my landline phone. And I called AT&T and asked them why. Well, they went up on all of them. And I said, well, I have the cheapest plan that AT&T has. I've had it for years because we have very few calls. And I said, is this increase basically because of all the cell phones? And she says, well, we're not supposed to discuss that.
That means yes.
There's your answer.
I said, that means then yes. And I said, it's really funny. When I got off of the phone, I was aggravated, and I said, I live in a community, there's 12 homes. There's 2 of us that's paying our way. 2 of us that are not on food stamps, cell phones, commodity foods, SSI, everything. What about the house where the woman and man lived together, never married, the son grown,
Yeah,
and all of the benefits that went to that home.
That's
over the course of time. Well, it was so good, Patrick, that one of the other neighbors said, "Hey, listen, I've got a son that's got 4 children.
Yeah.
I want him to get a divorce because they can get more benefits if they're divorced."
Sure, that's
they're
unfortunate.
divorced. They're living together, but they get all of our benefits. My mother has been disabled with cancer for years. Not one monthly paycheck has she ever received for disability. You know why? Because we could have a good life with what within our means.
Sure, exactly. And I gotta let you go here, Sandy, real quick. I appreciate the call.
Sorry to take too much.
No,
Patrick.
We welcome your call.
Well, we appreciate you, Patrick, for being honest and upfront, and we listen every week, and we plan to continue to do so.
Good. Spread that message around.
God bless you. Bye-bye.
God bless you, Sandy. We appreciate it. And this is the Patrick Riggins Show. So we got a couple more calls that we weren't able to get to. We're right up here on the end of the show. If you want more information about the show, go to facebook.com/Patrick Riggins Show, and we'll have all the different shows on there from the archives. Also, you can go to youtube.com/Patrick Riggins Show. Thank you so much to everyone calling in. Call us in next week. We'll try to get with your calls. We're going to try to work more of those in each week. This is Patrick Riggins. Join me next Sunday afternoon where once again we'll talk about freedom, liberty, and the restoration of the Constitution. This is me, Patrick Riggins. We'll see you next Sunday afternoon, 2 p.m. Have a great week.
Join us again next week for a solid dose of truth on the Patrick Riggins Show. Every Sunday from 2 to 3 p.m. Be there.